La la la, 1, 2, 3, testing. Here on a Friday night with a bunch of idiots. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Hi everyone and welcome to this week's photography podcast. It is my turn to host, the hostess with the mostest. Now this is the last week. The podcast is to be shown on each of our individual channels. Over to Mr. Gary Norman, who will tell us exactly what the channel is called. Gary, for next week?
Yeah, so from next week, so as James said, this week's going to go out on his, and then from about Wednesday, we're going to upload all of the old podcasts, and then from then on, all of the new ones are going to be going on a new channel, which is the Photography Podcast channel. We'll put a link up in the description, and also, I didn't really mention it last week as well, but we now are a podcast as well. So if you search for the Photography Pubcast on iTunes or Spotify or Stitcher or any of your podcast sites, it should come up. So yeah, that's all good news, I think.
Is that what we're actually called, the Photography Pubcast?
Yeah, officially. Yeah.
Who you been?
What else did you have in mind, Darren?
No, Gary Goff.
The Proctology Pubcast.
Did he get it wrong?
No, Gary actually said the Photography Pubcast, and I thought, oh, we're not called that. We're just called the Pubcast. So obviously, Gary knows more about this channel than I do. So it's the Photography Pubcast.
Is it? I've just gone along with it. Yeah.
Yeah,
well, that's what the logo says, Emily.
I just wanted to announce as well that next week Gary Goff will be replacing Darren. So.
Splitter.
Right, so I'm going to kick things off. We'll start traditionally. What we do first of all is go around the room, just asking what people are drinking. I'll get mine out of the way first of all. Not tea this week, a nice big cup of coffee. But what's more important is what biscuit have I got this week?
Oh.
It is.
Can we guess?
The bourbon. Too late.
Bourbon.
Oh.
I had one of them tonight.
Now, is that because you're on coffee that you've changed your choice of biscuit?
Yeah, it is. Chocolate and Dunkin'.
Classic.
Bear with me.
Classy, that. Classy. Changing his biscuits to his drink.
How many bourbons would you eat in one go?
Full packet.
Yeah.
No, 3 or 4. Well, 3 or 4.
Yeah, no, I had 4 tonight. I thought that was. I did take 6 out, and I gave the dog one, and then I put one back, and I ended up with 4. But I could.
That sounds like one of them difficult maths questions, doesn't it? If the dog eats 2 and you begin with 6, you lose 1 and eat 2, but you leave 1 down the sofa. How many do you have left?
Literally, he said that, and I was like, "No, wait a minute, that's 5. That's not 6."
Has anybody else? But I'm not you, James, because you don't. And actually, James and Jamie. Well, actually, and Dave. So I'm just.
So Gary and Mally, yeah.
I'm just going to insult me, Gary, and Mally.
Okay.
Has anybody else put on weight during this lockdown period?
Funny you should ask that. Well, when we're going around saying, what are we drinking tonight? Because I've put a few pounds on, I'm just drinking water.
Straight gin.
And that's the edit for my mum. Yeah. I'm actually drinking Bishop's Finger. So you'll leave the water bit out, won't you?
Nope.
So have we? Have we been putting on weight?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you what we should do. We should just all send Gary our weight in pounds, and he should put it up collectively. So what the 6 of us weigh, and then if we drop a couple of pounds every week, then we don't know who's doing it, but we'll feel good about ourselves.
But Gary will know.
Well, that's all I'm bothered about. I know. So yeah, I'm actually losing weight. By the way, can I just point out? I've lost about 7 pounds since lockdown.
You can tell, Gary.
Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah, it's fear.
Why?
I'm not just with fear.
Like, fear. It's not intentional. It's not a crap diet, then, Gary.
No, it's diet brought on by fear. Yeah, I'm like.
I think you said beer.
No fear. I can see all the people.
Future.
No, I can see the people dying from this coronavirus, and I'm like, I'm in that bracket, my friend. So I need to lose a bit of weight and walk around the garden a bit more. So yeah, I've lost about 7 pounds. however, the fear is receding, so the weight could come back on. So.
He had a hole in his jeans pocket.
Yeah, because I must admit, when you and I, Gal, where did we go? We went to, it wasn't Thornham. It'll come to me in a minute. Where all the boats were. We went down to the Wells. Thank you. And you told me that day you was on a diet until we got to the cafe, and then you had, I think it was a great big cherry cake, because I said it's my round, have a bit of cherry cake, and you went, all right, then I'll start the diet tomorrow.
If you remember though, Darren, that was January, I think. And I always start a diet in January. That was last January. And sometimes they stick like once every 10 years. And then usually they don't. But yeah, this one's working right at the moment.
Good
stuff. So, Gary, what are you drinking then this week?
I'm drinking, Diet John Smith's. Yeah. I've gone old school because I've got no chance of winning with the lager. So yeah, I've gone for a bit of John Smith's instead.
Molly?
Yeah, I was just going to say, can I say to Dave Podger, if he can send me some proper cider, much appreciated. But I'm back on the strongbow. Just why change?
Quickly moving on then. All right, Jamie, what have you got in store this week?
Well, I'm never going to compete with Bishop's Finger. I've just given up completely. So, Shipyard IPA, Ghost Ship, and Mad Goose. However, as an accompaniment, I have my normal pork scratchings, but also these are fantastic. If you haven't tried these rice crackers from Tesco.
Oh yeah,
chili rice crackers. They are absolutely lovely.
Oh yeah.
Once you start, you can't stop.
The trouble is they'll play havoc with the audio.
Yeah, true. Yeah. So
they already have.
I'll open them in a break.
Authentic audio, that's all. Darren? Guinness?
Oh, no, not this way. Helen went shopping today, funny enough, and I just asked her to get some more Guinness because we was out, and all she could get was back on the Fosters today, or bottles of Carlsberg. But
you're
they're
going to
quite
get relegated at this rate, mate.
I know. I kind of started off at the bottom. I went up to the top with my Guinness, and now I've come crashing back down. I did actually ask for some John Smith, but she couldn't get that either.
I've got some of that. Here's a question. What do you reckon Gary Goff will be drinking next week when he replaces Darren?
Budweiser again.
Lush.
God, Budweiser's awful. I don't drink a lot, but I used to drink Budweiser. It's like perfume water, gassy American rubbish. Do you not agree?
Yeah.
Red Stripe Budweiser.
Red Stripe, yeah.
All that kind of.
When I used to do the clubbing in Manchester, you'll know about this, won't you, Molly? Yeah. Red Stripe was key.
Oh, yeah.
Red Stripe, that's the end of the days. Yeah, definitely.
Red Stripe everywhere in Manchester at one point.
When I was a youngster, we didn't have clubbing. We had discos.
Discotheque.
Yeah, the old discotheque, yeah.
It's 70s, Dave, this isn't it?
Yeah.
D-I-S-C. Yeah, okay. Oh, John Travolta. You've got the waves now, in fact, haven't you? I must say.
I was seeing Dave with a pair of roller boots on, man.
Yeah.
Sparkle.
Xanadu.
When you used to go out, did you used to wear like, I'm not taking the mickey because I had to do this when I first started going out. Do you remember wearing like a blazer and a tie, a shirt and a tie?
That was 90s. And chinos, beige chinos.
Oh, beige chinos. And
it had to have an emblem.
Yeah.
It had to have a really nice emblem as well. Yeah. Dresser boys.
Yeah.
I was a mod with a Harrington jacket and all the
So did I. Yeah. The old Parker, fishtail
Parker.
I was a punk rocker, and I went home one time with some bondage trousers on, and my mum and dad fell about laughing. And I thought they were cool because they were autographed by Susie Sue.
Ooh.
And as I heaved my leg up onto the bench for her to sign with a felt pen, she looked me in the eye and said, "Have you tried Limits?" They were the diet biscuits of the time.
Right.
So I stopped being a punk rocker after that.
So let's get this straight. So we're talking back in sort of the, let's say, the mid 80s, right?
Early to
mid
80s.
Let's say early to mid 80s. So
Mods,
let's go through the 80s. So you, Darren, you're a mod, right?
Well, I can't really class myself as a mod, but where I grew up on the estate in London. So this age, I was only about 12, and the mods had kind of been and gone to a degree.
Yeah.
And there was a load of kind of, I think, 17, 18, 19-year-old guys on the estate that was no longer mods. So they were selling their some of their clothes. And one of them was the big fishtail parka that he slept outside on the street outside the Rainbow to get into a concert. And I thought that was pretty cool. So, yeah, so there I was, 12 years old with this big fishtail parka that hit the floor with me jam shoes and me two-tone suit. Yeah.
Remember the stay pressed trousers with the fluorescent socks?
Stay pressed trousers.
Oh, God, don't even.
Different colours as well. Different fluorescent socks, the colours, the orange and the yellow.
It was,
That's right.
The slip-on shoes.
And your Frankie says relaxed t-shirt.
Yeah.
I moved on to, did you ever have a back perm? Anybody have a back perm? I know probably some of us have still got one, but no, I used to have one of these really long back perms that were fashionable.
The mullet.
In the 80s.
Yeah,
mullet.
pretty much.
Short on the top, curling at the back.
Yeah.
What is it? Business at the front, party at the back.
A bit like what I've got now.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
Come on, Mally. What was you, mate?
I was big fleurs. I always wore massive 27-inch bell bottoms and a big baggy hooded top with suns on and Storm Roses.
So I think me and Mally, we went through the same area, didn't it? Early 90s.
Yeah,
Storm Roses day. It was a Spike Island. Big, I had 18-inch bottom flares. Yeah.
So did you actually visit the Hacienda?
Yes, several times. I think that was the place. Can't remember.
Yeah.
So you're all mods, punks, indie, Stone Roses, late 80s, early 90s. And I was into Kylie and bloody Jason and Bros. And I'm not joking.
Especially for you.
And then, right, I went from Kylie and Jason, Bros, Stock Aitken and Waterman. I went straight into Iron Maiden and Metallica. That was a bit of a change.
Extreme.
Queen as well, Gary. Yeah. Queen.
Bit of Queen, and then I moved on, and then I was all Britpop then from then on, and I love Oasis, just love them.
Same here. So I remember Britpop, Oasis and Blur, all that era.
Yeah, Charlatans.
You know what you said, Darren, about this being called the Photography Podcast?
Yeah.
We talked about photography. Right, listen, I've got something to talk about, yeah?
Go on.
Critiquing. Okay? We either love it, we don't love it. Personally, I like to be critiqued, and I think it's really important, especially you want to develop your landscape photography. One, what's your thoughts about getting critiqued, and what's your thoughts on who should qualify as someone to critique your work?
Can I jump in?
Go on.
We go into Salford University. The big thing was critique, and it was twice a week. I saw people brought to tears. It was horrendous. You know, you'd spend all week, the week before, making a piece of art or photography. But the thing was, the guy who was giving the critique had done everything. He'd produced for bands that we're talking about. He'd photographed like the Smiths, and you know, this guy was revered. He was a great teacher, but the critiques were just so tough and hard on you. And I learned a lot from it, was to just ignore the bastard and do what you want to do. Just do what you want to do. But don't use your ego. Think about it. Be honest with yourself. So if you don't agree with what someone's saying, take it on board anyway. Even if you ignore it, still listen. And that's how I feel about it.
It's an opinion, isn't it? It's got to be done constructively. Yeah, they've got to be done. Start with positives, a few better ifs rather than that's crap. Well, that's brilliant. It helps. No one does that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone was saying that the best form of critique is to do a positive sandwich, is it, or something, or a negative sandwich.
So you start off with
So you start with a positive that's
really goes beautiful light, then you've got your shit, you're filling, i.e. it's out of focus, and then you end on another positive, brilliant colours or something like that.
Yeah.
So you go away from the critique as with a more positive feeling, but back in mind,
Yeah.
you think about that negative.
It's much better though to have critique than just to have loads of people go, oh, great shot, oh yeah, love that, amazing. Yeah, because no one wants that. I mean, actually, lots of people probably want it, but no one really wants it. It doesn't do anything to further you or better you as a photographer, because half the time people are just being nice for the sake of it. You know, I'd much rather, when I put out a photograph or when I do a video, I'd much rather someone was, you know, what's the word, constructively critical over it, than just went, oh yeah, great video, or amazing photo, because that doesn't give you anything at all.
You know in your heart though, don't you? You know when you put something out, you think, oh God, I've left a couple of dust spots, or, you know, it's 0.0003 off on the horizon. You know who I'm talking about.
Are you referring to something here, Mal, about certain
No,
dust
I'm just
spots?
saying that we all know, don't we? We all know. In our hearts, if we're honest with ourselves, that's how I think. I think critique's fabulous. It helps people. But if you just stopped and went away and come back and looked at your art or whatever you're making, your performance, you just know in your heart. You think,
you do, Molly, but I think it's from the feedback which you receive in the first place. You might instantly put it in the back of your mind, but then you go away, look at it again, you think, actually, what he said back then, I've applied it here.
But I love feedback that can take you in a direction you might not have thought of.
So that's good feedback.
That's
critiquing. There's a big difference between being critical and critique. Yeah? Big difference.
Yeah.
I think you're right. It's about having the opinion though, James, because everybody, you know, I think at the level, I guess, and when I say the level, I guess at the standard of the type of work that I guess us guys produce, you know, it's good to get opinions from other people in terms of whether you think that's good, it's bad, or whether there's anything about it technically that doesn't work, or the rest of it, just to get an opinion, because it's so subjective, isn't it? Photography and image and creating images are so subjective, and you may look at it and there's loads of stuff I've produced and I'm thinking, I just don't like that. And then you share it on social media and actually, oh, that's great. Now, yeah, there's going to be the likers that will just like it anyway because they like maybe you or whatever. But it's when you get an opinion from somebody you think, actually, I respect their opinion, and you think, actually, that's good because you've got another view on your image rather than just your own view on it, which is very subjective to what you were thinking and what you created. So I think critique is great to understand whether what you're seeing is right or wrong, or whether what you're seeing just is through your own lens, which is that looks fantastic, but to everybody else, it's just a pretty mediocre image, really.
I wonder as well if there's a good time to get critique, because how many of us, I mean, I know that I definitely do this. As soon as I've edited a photo and I put it out there, I pretty much 99% of the time think that's the best photo I've taken, or that's an amazing photo, because it's my most recent and it's the one I've got the most connection with at that point in time. So if someone's at that point critiquing my work, I'm less likely to listen to them. I'm probably going to go, no, because this is the best photo I've taken because I've got that emotional connection. So maybe if a couple of weeks down the line, someone then critiques your work, you might be a bit more receptive to it, and you might say, oh yeah, actually now looking back on it, I can see that this was not quite right, or that could have been done better.
I put 2 photos on Instagram, fun enough, yesterday, but one on yesterday and one on today. And they was effectively, I don't know if you guys saw them, it was effectively the same tree, pretty much the same composition. And
with the bench.
I put it on. Yesterday was a portrait of the tree with the sunlight coming through, hitting the chair.
Yeah.
And then today I put pretty much the same image up.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one, mate. And I put the same one up today, but that was landscape. And I just kind of said, I'm not too sure which one I prefer. And if you kind of read through the comments, from last I looked at it, it was about 50-50. 50% like the landscape, 50% like the portrait. And they was kind of saying what they liked and perhaps what they disliked about it. But my point is, critique's okay, But as Jamie said, everything is so subjective. So you can't listen to people too much, because today was a great example. Who do I listen to? Because it was 50-50.
Sorry, you got on Instagram, you're critiquing or...
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't ask necessarily for the critique. I just said on today's post, because I put that one up yesterday, which one do you prefer? And if you look, it was really good. There was probably about 10, 12 comments, I think, just comparing the two, saying why that. Some of it was just, I like the portrait. Some were saying, I prefer the landscape. But some went into a little bit more detail, which was quite good. There was some good feedback, but it was 50-50.
I think one of the crucial things for me as far as critique is concerned is who it's from and where it's coming from. So I had an image critiqued and I hadn't invited it. I just put it on social media, and somebody who I respect immensely, we all know who it is, and I'm not going to say any names because that would be inappropriate, but he contacted me privately and said, have you thought about maybe if you just tweaked this aspect and that aspect? And he was very, very circumspect about it. And he was absolutely right. And when I had tweaked it the way he suggested, I thought, that is amazing. And it went straight into my portfolio.
There you go.
And it wasn't even close to being a portfolio picture prior to that critique. And the image is one that I took when you and I were out, Darren.
Oh, no, I remember it. I remember it.
I was just looking across. There was some nice light, and I thought, oh, I'll just grab a shot of that. And it's the end image of all of my videos. And without that critique, that would have been consigned to the dustbin almost. You know, it would have been, oh yeah, here's one. It was all right, nice light, stick it up, get a few likes, move on. So there's immense value in the right sort of critique. And I think the thing that you need to bear in mind is to, if it feels right, take it on board. But if it's just either blowing smoke or, you know, it's coming from somewhere that's either jealous or incompetent, to know enough to say, yeah, okay, I'll disregard that then. Yeah. I think that's the key thing about criticism from my perspective. I welcome it, but I also know enough to whether to take it on board or not.
That's the problem though, isn't it? It's like, it's all well and good if we, as you know, as the standard we're at, say, I'm not going to take that on board because I can see differently. But it becomes dangerous where you start to get people, like you say, who are incompetent, don't know what they're talking about, criticising or giving critique to beginners who don't know whether that's valuable critique or not. And that's when it becomes an issue, is because then, you know, they're giving advice to someone that's incorrect and they don't have the experience to see through it.
That's a good point. When I'm working with people, I've had people say, oh, well, I was told to do this or to do that. And they've taken it on board, and it's patently not helping them. It's really tying one arm behind their back. And I feel really sorry that they've felt that critique was valid and they didn't know enough at that point to be able to evaluate it effectively.
Yeah. I think you can take that in terms as well of not just critiquing work, but actually learning the skills of photography. Because when I first started, there was a lot of things that really bothered me about, you know, I must make sure that you know, that I've got the hyperfocal distance right, and I haven't got a clue what focus stacking is, but clearly that's really important. And, you know, this is really important and that's really important, because you get told it over and over again by all these pseudo experts. You must be able to do this, and you must need to do that, and you must need to do that. And actually most of it is pretty irrelevant. You know, there are several key things about composition and light, and, you know, there are technical things that you need to be able to do, but there's loads of it that's completely superfluous, and you get told that that's really important, and that's not right. You know,
I think I've said before that I help run a Facebook sort of photography learning group, and on a Friday they do something called Critique It Friday, where they invite all of the members to post up images, and then the guy who runs it and I sort of jump in on the landscape ones, give them the critique. And I know, because these guys they're there to learn, so they're relative newcomers. They understand the basics. Some are more advanced than others. and they get so much out of that critique because, you know, they're posting up their images that they think, well, I'm not 100% confident with it, but I'd like you just to let me know how I can improve it or what I can do to make it better.
And isn't it rewarding to see the improvement as the weeks go by?
Absolutely, and it really is. And I've seen some people really progress on that group because they've taken on board that criticism and they've understood, you know, a compositional change or something that can really help them the next time they're out, look at that differently, get a better shot. And they come back and think, right, I've taken on board what you said last week and this is what I've done this week. What do you think now? I think, brilliant. That's really good. You're progressing, you're getting better and better. And that's really the value in critique, the way I see it, is that it's a learning tool. It's helping you to improve and get better all the time.
Yeah, and you choose what snippets of information is given to you. But I mean, I think we touched on it last week. At the end of the day, it's your own personal touch, how you approach it, and then you're going to build up your own brand. I know we said this before. Have you ever seen the standard drop, however, following continuous critiquing? You mentioned before where you feel that the standard of someone who's critiquing someone is wrong. So have you seen evidence where someone's standard, a beginner's, has dropped at all?
Mm. I haven't, to answer that question, James. No, in terms of what I've seen, I haven't seen anybody's standard drop. I think people go out and try something new, and probably haven't grasped it well enough. You know, so you know, HDR bracketing is a great example. When somebody goes out and tries to take bracketed shots and then blends them together and don't quite get it right, or haven't tweaked it right in post processing. But that again, that's just a learning, really. So they come back and say, look, it's a technical thing, yeah. And that's the key to critiquing. It's not just critiquing, you know, composition, it's critiquing everything, and it's those little tweaks around, okay, well, this is a crop issue, so you've got this cropped, you know, if you cropped it this way, it's going to look better. This is a processing improvement if you just look at your clarity and your saturation and just look at that. So it's all elements that just add together to help them along that journey, really.
I always think about the masters, think about people who, you know, 3,000 years ago, think about what different artists were doing, and they were probably critiqued because they weren't at a certain level. You know,
it was hieroglyphics 3,000 years ago.
Sculpture, or that's what I'm saying. Still art. It's all art. It's all perspective. It's all composition.
It's communication. More communication. That was.
So then, tapestry, for instance. So you're moving through the ages, and you get now where it's so fast, it's so quick, and each and every one of you has talked about a different person's perspective. That's critique for me. It's someone else's perspective on the work you've done. Whether you take it on board or not, it would then change your perspective on the work you've then produced. So if someone says that crop, you could do this, maybe you make it, you know, 16 by 9, it changes the artwork from what your perception was originally to someone else's, which is fine. But for me, I think there comes a point where, yeah, you take it on board or not, but going through the ages, and do you think someone came up to Michelangelo and said, you know, you've not painted a boob's just not, it's not quite right. Do you know, I think he would have said, he might have sat there and gone, you've got a point there, Reverend, but how many 16 chapels have you painted, pal?
Perhaps that's the thing though, Mally. Perhaps critique is more useful when you're talking about technicalities. So when you're critiquing someone's technical skills, so you could say, do you know that's, you know, blown out highlights there a little bit, or do you know you've lost?
There's no excuse for that, of course.
Yeah, there's no excuse for that. Don't even go there. Perhaps,
so what I'd just like to say is, throughout the years, we mentioned it already, we set our standards. I mean, where did the rule of thirds come from? It's come from, 200-300 years ago, didn't it?
Greeks, it goes back. Architecture.
Yeah. Is it golden spiral?
Thousands of years.
So we set our standards, and that will evolve over years as well. What we're talking about now, again, will be replicated over years to come, won't it? Because that's the standard.
I also think that the most valuable critique, though, is that's based around a dialogue, because if you put your artwork out there and then you get a missive that explains to you where you failed, that's not entirely useful. I think if you can have a dialogue with somebody and say, I'm just looking at this aspect of it, where are you coming from with that? And then you can say, well, I was thinking this, that, and the other. I think that when you have that dialogue, it allows the person providing the critique to be more constructive. And so I think that, that's an important aspect. I think social media critique is almost worse than useless.
Yeah.
But I think if you can sit down with somebody who you respect, who understands where you're coming from, and we've talked last week, Mally, you talked about having punch in an image. We talked about, the emotion of photography, where it creates an emotional response. Generally speaking, you could argue that it's directly proportional to how good it might be classed as being, and you can't deal with that in a critique. You have to have a discussion around it, and for me, in instances where somebody I found has been really helpful to me, it's always been based around a dialogue.
I'd imagine as well there are some brilliant photographers who, if they took on board critique of what should be done and what shouldn't be done, they wouldn't even be producing work, And they're the people pushing the boundaries. They're the people who are putting stuff out there that's completely, off the scale. And if they'd have listened and said, to take for instance someone who focuses purely on ICM, how can you critique that? And if someone would say, well, I'm not sure you should be doing that really. You should be, getting the rule of thirds and everything. They'd never do it, and you might lose out on some absolutely fantastic art.
Jackson Pollock.
Yeah, Andy Warhol.
Yeah.
Don't put those four people the same picture side by side. Just not right, mate.
Yeah, I come from the graphic design point of view, and some of the best graphic designers have broke all the rules and gone on and blown the doors off everything and created a new world of art. So it's difficult because photography, I think, is still classed as quite a classical way of thinking, but I quite like to blow the doors off, if you like. I like to make shit images and know the shit and know why the shit, but then give them some form of beauty, make them something that's got personality, something I like.
That though, Mally, that, right, is exactly it. It's what you just said there. You like to make them shit and know they're shit, right? That's the difference. It's when you've done enough of a body of work that people can see that you're a capable photographer, that you can then go and do something that people might look at and say, if you were a beginner, they'd say, well, you've clearly not paid attention to that. But if you've got a body of work behind you, they'll look and say, oh, he's done that on purpose.
I bet you Ansel Adams, right up to the point where he was going, was like, I'm still not happy. That's art. It's forever.
Art confuses me. I mean, I remember being at school and somebody took a shit on the pottery teacher's desk and said it was art. Now, I don't know.
What sort of school did you go to?
I don't know. I don't know if that's art or not. All I remember was the caretaker coming up with a stick.
I thought you were going to say he switched on the turntable and turned it into
He had to come up with a stick and knock it into the box.
I'm going to tell you now, that wasn't art. But joking aside, that evokes an emotion. So is that what art is meant to do?
Yeah. There's the lady who ate a big block of chocolate and shat it out as well, isn't there? And then there's the unmade bed by
before condoms as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm starting to appreciate art more as I actually get older.
Well, you will if a lump of shit is setting the standards, absolutely.
But it's like the ICM thing. There's people who critique that lump of shit all day long because they love it.
Not quite churned out as
not as curly as it should be.
Has anyone got a flake to add to it?
I'd have made it a bit darker.
Darren's poos with Guinea. Oh no, he's on Foster's.
I'm on Foster's now.
I should have eaten more sweet corn.
Yeah, not enough sweet corn and nuts.
That's interesting. Very interesting subject, isn't it? What has anyone been watching any interesting vlogs this week at all? Anything stand out.
Opening me chili crackers. Hang on.
Jay Gilmore's done a lovely one with his little lad on the
The
farm.
short film, yeah.
Oh, don't spoil it. I haven't watched it yet.
Well, I won't
What
say
happens
anymore,
is-
but it's it's grand. It's grand. Very, very good. Very emotional to me. That I don't know about rest of you, but it was so transparent and truthful. Really. Yeah.
I'll tell you who I've been watching this week, and I introduced him to you today, Molly. Tiny Tim.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Very,
yeah.
Tiny Tim.
Oh, yeah, it's brilliant. You couldn't believe that.
Yeah.
We only just discovered him.
Yeah, I have. Fantastic. I tell you what, the guy's on a winner. It's not going to nearly 1 million subscribers, is it? Here in my team. Here it is. I'll drop a link to his channel, by the way. I will. All worth watching. Yeah.
You do a collab with him, James. A collab would be good.
Hello, my name's Johnny Jack, and I'm age 48. We're going to photograph Blencathra today. Blencathra? Oh, it's bloody stupid, isn't it? I might fall off. I'm only wearing my little shorts.
Anyway.
That's brilliant.
The trouble is, anybody listening on the podcast is going to have no clue.
That's it's all about. Creating a mystery.
Uh,
Darren, just like to say congratulations.
Yes.
3,000 subs. Well done. Massive.
yes, well,
Well
done.
done.
Thank you.
Well
Well done,
done.
mate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Commonly known as the Birdman now.
Yeah.
I am, yeah. It's a bit, I won't lie, it's a bit overwhelming, actually.
You didn't expect it.
No. And I'm not saying I'm not comfortable with it, but the video has got so many views now. I do feel a little bit, because I went up, it took me a long time to kind of reach 2,000 subs. And honestly, subs was never really, it's always nice to see your channel grow. I'm not going to lie with that, but kind of organically, kind of perhaps, 1 week you might get 10 subs, 20 subs, that kind of thing. But the last kind of 28 days, it's been about 1,200 subs that I've got, which is, so that's like a third.
25,000 views, haven't you?
Brilliant.
When you
But it's
hits, isn't it?
I must admit, see, I'm the kind of person that I like to. When I normally put a video out at Saturday morning at 8:30. I'm out before then. I'm on a beach somewhere, or I might be in Snowdonia with Dave or wherever, and then that kind of video comes out. But if I'm local, I've kind of got a bit of a routine. I normally go out and shoot sunrise, get home for about 11 o'clock and have a cup of tea with Helen and whatnot. And then I normally go around the local pub, which is only like about 100 yards from where I live. And then about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I'd sit actually normally in this very chair, and then I'd go through the comments and I'd reply. And there might be perhaps 20 comments by 1 o'clock. Well, definitely by close of Sunday, I'd replied to everybody. But at the moment, I can't actually reply to everyone, and it just feels alien to me. And I feel at the moment that I'm replying for the sake of replying, to be polite, and it just feels a little bit overwhelming. I'm not used to having this many comments and this many views. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Hey, my heart bleeds for you. Hey.
Oh, jealousy there. Did anyone feel that jealousy there?
Gutted. Absolutely.
I understand exactly what Darren is meaning, because he genuinely wants to reply to everyone, and it becomes so much sometimes that
it's not practical. Sometimes you can't practically, can you? You can't. But I tell you what, even if it's just a thank you, put the name to it.
Yeah.
Have you seen the standard replies that you two are now are offering? And you look at them and you think, what kind of muppet is going to use one of them? It was embarrassing.
No, I'll tell you what I try to do. You see, we spoke about Ian Mack before, who subscribes to our channels. You see, sometimes I almost leave, like say, Ian's reply to the end.
Yeah.
Because Ian and people like Ian, they do such huge comments that I feel that I have to reply with almost the same length of comment. If someone just puts on, enjoyed the video, then I can just reply, cheers, thanks very much. But if someone goes to the trouble, almost like we were saying about critique, and it's a really long comment, I feel that just by putting a thumbs up or cheers for that is not enough. So
don't tell me. You look at it and your heart sinks. You think, bloody hell, I've got to write an essay.
Well, if there's, because some of these have been, like, there's been 20 comments that have been really long, and I'm just thinking,
you know what? I have the opposite, and the reason I have that is because I reply with this very microphone. I dictate everything to my computer, and it types it for me, so it takes no time at all.
Thanks for the snowballs. I've just eaten yogurt.
What?
Your auto reply, does it not go like say things like, thanks for those strawberries, I put them in my poo hole?
I'll try that one. But I have one chap who every I've got one guy that writes into every single video, and I've got to be honest with you, I have huge gratitude to this chap, because he was watching my videos when I had 17 chins, didn't know where the camera was facing, and it was utterly rubbish. And every single video, he leaves a comment that just says thank you.
Can I just say there? I just say that having 17 chins does not make you rubbish. All right? Okay. All right.
I look like Jabba. I look like Jabba the Hutt in my.
I don't appreciate that comment. It's fattest, and you need to stop now. Anyway, carry on.
You need to grow a bigger beard. You look like Mike McManus. But no, so I find it more difficult to find something useful to say to somebody that literally 143 times has written in and said thank you. I find that harder to reply. Every comment, though, it's amazing.
Oh, it is. I still can't believe it.
Yeah.
I still can't believe it. I still sit there sometimes and think, what? These are people. This is wonderful.
Yeah.
I think we've spoke about this before, about having a YouTube channel, and it is genuinely the interaction. And I think that's why, because of this one particular video, I did find it like quite overwhelming, because I do like to reply, like we all do. We all like to read the comments and then reply to the comments. I feel it's quite personal, and I do appreciate everybody that's done it. I mean, I've seen some videos that have had like loads of views, you know, kind of say 20,000, 30,000. And when you look in the comments section, there might be like less than 10. There's been so little interaction.
Yeah.
Yet my videos, which normally, on average, normally get between say 800 and 1,000 views, I bet there's at least 25 to 30 comments, which I think is really good. You know, I really do appreciate that.
I've said this in my my second Q&A video out Monday, by the way. I said this in my second Q&A. I think I did. Shit, I might not have said it now. Anyway, if I didn't say it, I thought it. Comments for me are way more important than views and subscribers. It's the interaction you have with people. Someone asked me about growing their channel, and for me, it's the biggest thing is the interaction. That's how you judge if you're you know, succeeding, if you like, as a YouTuber. It's not about, even if you've only got 20 people watching, if half those people are commenting, then you are interacting and you're doing all right. You know, and like Darren said, that's the key. I think that's the key. It's like there are loads of people out there with many thousands of subscribers who get very few views. Exactly. And what does that mean? You know, equally, there are loads of people who get loads of views, but no one's bothering to comment on them. So what does that mean?
Is there do you feel guilty about unsubscribing to somebody that you just don't watch? Sorry, I should add to this, if you know them and you genuinely like them as a person, would you unsubscribe from their channel?
I've never done it, so I've never done that. Is it a secret you want to try hide, Darren? Or?
There's a lot.
No, because I tell you what, Darren, it's quite easy not to watch a video.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah. Keep subscribed to them and just don't. You know, all of a sudden there might be a diamond from that person. You might not be enjoying it because it's not your cup of tea. It's as simple as that. Is it warm? Is it cold? Is it brandy? Is it Coke? Not quite what I want to drink tonight. And then all of a sudden they put a video out that's an absolute banger.
It's cider.
Oh,
This bloke puts a video out how to shoot birds in his back garden. You think, oh yeah, I'll tune into that.
But there are people, I'll bet you if you went around all 6 of us, there are people that the other 5 really like, but the other one doesn't quite get, you know, and I think that's just life. It's like, it's just, everyone has their own opinions and everyone has their own preferences. And I think if you, there are people, I'd imagine if you looked at my subscribe list, there are people who you would think, how the hell are you not subscribing to him? You know.
Oh, you just made me think, Gary. People say about collaboration and all this with more viewers and more subs and this, that, and the other. Here's an example. Me and Gary went out together at Salford, and it was shit. It was shit.
What was?
But Gary's company.
It didn't matter. It didn't matter.
Do you want to take this offline or?
Hang on a minute. I thought it was all right.
No, what do you mean? What was actually shit? What was shit?
The performance of the video. I actually thought
that'd be me. I'm
quite shocked because me and Gary just did it because we did it and we had a laugh and a chat. We took some pictures, and it wasn't. So there seems to be a culture of thinking that collaboration leads to more subscribers. Or if you've got 20 YouTube or Facebook accounts, that you're going to get more involved.
And generally, Malik, it does result in more subscribers.
Short term.
But the video itself doesn't really attract a lot of views.
It's just that initial peak that you might get.
I think at the end of the day, you can have as many collaborations and pay as many people as you want to promote your work. And go on as I know. Look, I'm really
not aware of this payment policy.
I've already lost someone this week who's got upset over something I said last week, but I don't care. I've had a beer.
You've gained 3, so it doesn't matter. Yeah.
You can have pay as many people as you want to go off and promote you. You can do whatever you want, but it isn't going to make you any better as a vlogger. At the end of the day, you're either good. You will find your level because people will either watch you or they don't. If you go off and promote yourself with, if I paid Thomas Heaton £10,000 to go to Patagonia or Antarctica or wherever it was with him and said, oh, listen, Thomas, now I've paid you this money. Did you mind just doing a little vlog with me? I'm sure he's not going to say no. But at the end of the day, people aren't going to watch. They might watch that one for Thomas Heaton being in it, but they're not going to watch the rest of them for me being in it because it's about me, not about Thomas Heaton anymore.
But you say that. Now, one of my favourite vloggers is Nev Cartledge.
Yes.
I would have never have known about Nev hadn't I've seen him on Tom's video.
Yeah, you're right.
Now, I hear what you're saying, Gary. I really do. If you're there purely to really kind of promote yourself, perhaps maybe not. I don't really know. I don't really want to kind of go down that route, but I think for us, if we hadn't have all collaborated, we wouldn't be doing this. We wouldn't have the relationship that we've currently got. And any one of us can go out with each other as a friend.
Yeah.
Now, I don't need you, Gal, to go out with Jamie because I don't know Jamie very well. And I don't need to go out with Jamie because I don't know Mally very well. We're all mates. And without the collaborations, we wouldn't have had this. So sometimes or go down that route.
But I'm not collaborating. I haven't done a collaboration with any of you guys because I thought about views or subs.
Well, you should do because I'm a big deal in the game now.
You are now, yeah. No, but I went off every single person that I've spent any time with is because I've wanted to because I thought they might be a nice guy. No, but that's true though. I've never if you look at it, I think that there's probably 1 or 2 people who I've done stuff with who had more subs than me. Generally, everyone who I collaborated with had less. So it's not about, I don't do it because of trying to gain anything. So
see, vlogging for me is like a second wind in terms of gaining friendships. I went through a period where, 30s, early 40s, where, I've gone past me drinking, me clubbing days, all my mates have sort of like grown up, they've grown families. But soon I started to do vlogging about 3 years ago through calibrations, through yourself and other people. Chris Sale, great mate of mine, it's involved in a good friendship. workshops, but it's expanded the friendship. It's like a second lease to life, is this?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure it's the same for most of us here.
Key to that, what you just said about life, long-term life, friends. It's not just about the subs. It's not just about getting your
true friendship, isn't it? It's true friendship.
It was one of the reasons I joined the YouTube community was because of that, the community and the people that you meet, and the stuff that we're doing now. Even this podcast is like brilliant. We've all met each other and known each other before, but you get to know people better, you get more friends, and you create that friendship that becomes much bigger than photography, really.
Our friend John Aswell, I think we should give him a thumbs up as well.
Yeah.
Because he kind of brought us all together,
He did.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, he did.
The work and effort he did.
Yeah, well done, John.
Starting that group.
Come back, John. Come back. Start vlogging again, mate.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I've got a question for you, which is related to this. So I've also had a bit of a milestone this week. I tipped over the 1,000.
Sorry, Jim. Yeah, well done.
No. That's
Well done,
I wasn't
mate.
saying it because of that, but no, I did. And
Not quite as important as Darren's, but well done.
Absolutely.
No,
I got
well done,
completely
understand.
covered by that 3K milestone to my little puny 1K milestone. But no, of course, what that does is it makes you then think, okay, 1,000 subscribers. If you get the view count, then you can monetize. So all of that sort of thought goes through your head. So there's a subject to discuss, because I know that everybody, when you reach 1,000, you think, should I monetize? Should I not monetize? Why don't you dispel the myths out there about the fact that it's a pittance, the money that you get from YouTube?
It is.
It is a business.
And I think a lot of people out there just think that we all make, well, you guys, because I'm not there yet, but make fortunes out of YouTube funding, which is clearly complete rubbish.
I think James will testify to this, because I'm pretty sure that you were around and you were involved when I was having this moment about whether I should monetize or not when I got to 1,000 subscribers. And James said, look, just go for it, because at very least it will just pay for your Epidemic Sound subscription every month. And you know what? It really, I would imagine I make less than £10 a month out of it. So it's not a big deal. It really isn't a big deal. And anyone out there who thinks, oh, these YouTubers, they make all this money and blah, blah, blah from monetization and having ads, it's nothing. It really is nothing.
It is nothing. And you've touched on it already, Gary. For me, it pays for the Epidemic Sound. It also pays for my Lightroom, Photoshop subscription, a bit of diesel here and there. And for some, it can lead on to other things as well, i.e. the introduction of workshops, things like that. But it's a no-brainer for me. It's a no-brainer. Well, you may as well do something. You get a bit of pocket money here and there.
We earn that much that basically I've had to cancel my Epidemic Sound and start making it again, because I can't afford to pay Epidemic Sound. That's how much our vlogs get. The reality of it is it's a 10p mix every week if we're lucky. Yeah. It's not a lot. It's 10 a month.
If it really takes off, and you become really big, and you're someone like Darren who's getting 20,000 views on videos.
Yeah.
But if it really takes off, then it's a different matter. But
well, I'll tell you what, I'll put it into perspective then. So obviously, joking aside, that video, I think it has got 28,000 views. So this month, I looked at it today. This month, my channel, over the last 28 days, I've had 35,000 views on my channel.
Wow.
And my monthly income this month is £47. Now hold that thought for a minute. Since I've been monetized, which I think is either a year, 18 months now, collectively, including that £47, my total earnings is £110.
Yeah.
So 110. So without that big video, my earnings would have probably been around £55 to £60 over 12 to 18 months. I can't remember when I started monetizing. Yeah. So the answer to your question for me, I'm not going to earn anything out of it, but like the guys said, 60 quid. It was Owen Clark, because I said, I don't know if I'm even going to do it. And he said, well, you might as well. It doesn't cost you anything. And at the end of the year, if it gets you a full tank of diesel to get to Snowdonia and back, then why not do it? And I thought, you know what, when you look at it like that, why not?
What was it, Gary, going back to what was it that was putting you off? Was it the feedback which you feel you may have got from your subscribers or your viewers, just to think that you're doing this just for the money? Is that what you had fear of? Because reality is that none of us here produce videos with the intention of making money. Yeah, none of us put out videos which say 7 ways to skin a cat. Yeah, we all produce videos purely for
skinning cats, things I wished I knew.
Yeah, we just do it for the enjoyment, don't we?
Yeah, I think in all honesty, the reason that I was thinking about it and mulling it over is because I'm a bit of a gobshite. And
so this was your platform. This was your soapbox moment, Gary. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of. Do you know what? I kind of spend a lot of time worrying about other people when I should.
Oh, you don't.
What? No, mate. No. Okay. Oh,
you wear it well.
No, not in that. Okay, not in that respect. When I say I don't mean. Okay, I spend a lot. No,
should we start again? Let's start again, Gal. Count you in. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
No, look, I spend a lot of time commenting on other people and judging other people, right? Which is really wrong, and I appreciate that I do it, and I can't help myself, and that's just who I am. And you know, if I could go back and start again, to be honest with you, I'd probably still do all the same things again. And then say, oh, we should have never done that. But so when it got to the point when, you can't turn around and say, I think that people are getting money. And I think there are a lot of people out there who are vloggers who are milking the system when they don't deserve to milk the system. They're running workshops. And I genuinely don't mean this for any present company, okay? But there are people out there who are offering workshops, running workshops, selling presets, offering this, offering that, and they can't take a photo, right? A decent photo. I think you have to have that at least. You at least have to have the fact that you can take a photo that other people are going to look at and go, okay, that's a good quality photo. But because you're on YouTube, like, I wanted to say this. This is turning into a bit of a monologue, and I'm really sorry, but I wanted to say this before. We're all vloggers, right? And we're all, reasonable photographers. But don't be fooled and think that just because we put our stuff out on YouTube, there aren't thousands of people out there who don't put their stuff on YouTube, or hundreds of people out there who are equally as good as we are, if not better, photographers, right? And there's a real thing where you get people and they go, I've got 2,000 subscribers. Therefore, I'm the oracle, and I can tell everybody everything about everything. But it's not true, because there are so many. You have to remember who you are and where you came from, and so and what your level is. We're not all brilliant photographers. There are. It's really frustrating that I could pick out someone, and I'm not going to mention a name. But I could pick out someone and I could say, this guy, and everyone go, oh my God, he's amazing, right? And I could then go on to Flickr or Twitter or somewhere else and say, this person whose photos are way better, and they'll go, no, never heard of them. Never heard of them.
Yeah.
I bet you, right, that most people will have, if I say, I don't want to say that, I'm not slagging off the person, but I bet you if someone says Thomas Heaton, right, and they go, oh yeah, Thomas Heaton. But when we were talking the other week about Rachel Talabart, I bet you more people know who Thomas Heaton is and who Rachel Talabart is. But I bet you, if you compared their photos, then they are at least comparable, and that's what I'm saying.
But there's a difference there between able to produce a video and have the ability to produce a good video with good interaction,
personality,
where people want to come back for more and more. It's a fine photographer. Some of the best photographers just simply can't do vlogs because they don't have the connection, the personality.
Or don't want to.
Or they don't want to, they choose not to.
But let's not get the two mixed up here between making a video about photography and going out doing photography and being a photographer. They are completely different. I spent many years doing photography without making videos.
Yeah, I think we all did.
And
10 years of landscape photography live, yeah.
do you know
they are completely different though, but when it comes to making money out of them, people will gravitate more to the person who's on YouTube than they will to. So if you've got someone who's a fantastic photographer who isn't on YouTube, and someone who's a mediocre photographer but a good personality on YouTube, the person on YouTube is more likely to get business, unfortunately, from a lot of people than the fantastic photographer, simply because of their YouTube presence.
It's just marketing, though, isn't it? It's marketing.
It's a massive platform. It's one of the biggest in the world, isn't it? And for a good photographer, if they can break into the YouTube scene, they've made it, haven't they?
Yeah,
I feel like we've gone full circle from critique to here. Like Dave, he knows his art. He's into his art. He knows good art, don't you, Dave? You're involved in the art movement, and I feel that there's so many categories and split up in video and art and photography. At the end of the day, I think art is quite specialised. Charlie Waite, for instance, the gallery down south, Boscombe, is it? I think
Bosham.
Yes.
Bosham Key, yeah.
People might think there's a lot of money in that, but do you know the one thing that stands out, what we're all missing here, is all these people who are grasping and trying to be popular and doing all this, that and the other. It takes long-term hard work. It doesn't matter how much you try and plug yourself and try and get as many subs and all this. At the end of the day, this for me, if I make it to 65, which I hope I do, it's a long-term hard graft for your art. Where will those people be when I'm 65? Where will they be? Will they be massive, famous YouTube stars? YouTube might not even be here when I'm 65. Let's face it.
What, a week on Thursday?
Yeah, next week.
I think now, I think we all kind of know as well that YouTube now is, YouTube's certainly not dying. That's, not what, but I think now to make it on YouTube is hard now.
Starting out, Darren.
Because, and I'm not just talking about landscape photography. I'm just talking about anything. I mean, you look at like the kids that used to do all the gaming. Now there's so many.
Darren, the question is, if you take YouTube as a platform, and you then say, "Oh, well, do I make it? Don't I make it?" We're all very low-level YouTubers. I mean, virtually off the scale in terms of being nowhere, and we do it because we quite enjoy it. Yeah. And we enjoy the process. And the thing about it is, it's bloody hard work. Every single one of us has sat there for hours on end editing a video, particularly the likes of Gary, whose editing skills are off the scale good. And so we do that, and we stick it out there, and some of us get lucky, and some of us, it's a slightly longer slog. But we're not doing it because it's any kind of end result. We're doing it just because we want to. In the same way that we take pictures because we want to. And YouTube gives us a platform to do it. And I think that what we have in common is that our motivation to do it is, well, we just quite like it. And that's the long and short of it. And if somebody watches, great. And if somebody comments, brilliant. But at the end of the day, it's a bit of fun, and I think you're crucial for any of us.
And I do think now that you have to start a YouTube channel because you want to do it, because you enjoy doing it. You enjoy the whole process of doing it. You enjoy the interaction. I think now, or any point really, if you start a YouTube channel to earn money, that was my point. Yeah, forget it. Absolutely forget it. You have to do it because you enjoy doing it. And luckily, I think the six of us thoroughly enjoy the process of making videos.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right, so excellent. So thanks very much, everyone, for watching. Remember to head over to Gary. Dedicated channel is next week.
The Photography Pubcast channel. I'll put a link up in the description, and head over there.
And I'll drop the link in my description as well. Okay, so everyone, as I said, be patient, but above all, just ensure that you keep smiling. Bye bye for now.
Cheerio.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye bye.